too long ago, one of my wonderful students shared this story with me. She said, quote, I went for coffee with a friend who I hadn't seen in a long time. I'd chosen to minimize my time with him because he had a tendency to complain about work and go on and on and on about all the frustrating people there, like a broken record. My usual reaction was to put up with it for hours and then go home frustrated that I didn't get a word in edgewise. Well, this week, I let him go on for only about 5 minutes. I felt the tightness in my body and I started to cringe. And then I remembered that I had a choice to sit there or say something. So I simply said, okay, that's enough. You don't work there anymore. You've moved on. Let's change the subject. And we did. When he started up again a little while later, this time he caught himself and he changed the subject on his own. The truth is, I actually found it easy to speak up. The tricky part was catching my pattern and then remembering I had a choice to change my experience. Well, not only did Catherine face her fear of speaking up, but she contributed to her friend who will now notice. Remember, the second time, he changed the subject on his own. When we do what's best for ourselves, it will always be what's best for everybody else. Hi, I'm Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we share knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life. But there's another piece to this story, and that is, don't we have a choice who we like to spend our time with in the first place? Before COVID, I was at a gathering of the Transformational Leadership Council, which is an organization founded by Jack Canfield that brings together about 100 or so of the top transformational leaders in the world. Well, one of the members of the Transformational Leadership Council is Ivan Misner, who is the founder of BNI, Business Networking International, a fabulous business networking organization all over the world, international, that my daughter, for one, says has contributed monumentally to the success of her chiropractic practice. So I was telling Ivan how much my daughter loves the organization, and he, ever the generous heart, gave me an autographed copy of his book, Who's in Your Room, to give to her. Well, I'd never read it, so before it got to her, I hijacked it for a few days and I read it. And the premise is, what if you had to live your life in one room? Whoever you want to interact with in your life is in that room, but there's only one door and it's a one-way door. Whoever is in your room stays in your room forever. Who would you let in your room? If you knew that this person would be in your room from that day forward? Well, basically, it's a way to make us think about who we're letting into our lives. And it brings home the point that we have complete control over the design of our lives and the people who are in it. We can control that consciously, or we do it unconsciously, kind of by default. The choice is, of course, ours. So who are you letting in your room? Who are you going to let into your room from this point forward, knowing you have a choice? Because here's the thing, attitudes are contagious, just like viruses. Energy is contagious, just like viruses. And besides that, as far as your mind is concerned, nothing we have let in can ever be completely removed. Anything and everything gets stored somewhere in that gray matter that we call our brain, and will come back to haunt us probably eventually. And the truth is that it is much, much harder to get someone out of your room than to not invite them into your room in the first place. The people who are in your room, a friend, a present or former boss, a partner, a parent, or whoever, while they might not be literally in your room right now, the way that you store their memory, they are always there. So the strategy is that you need to start paying attention to what you actually or who you actually want in your life, and look for people who are of value, who support your passions and are interested in what you're interested in, people that you can learn from, people who see the good in you, not people who tear you down or you feel contracted around, like Catherine reported with her friend who she had coffee with. You need to find ways to invite the people into your room who encourage your greatness, not members of the discouragement committee who tell you all the ways that you're not good or your ideas aren't going to work. There's a saying that a good deal with a bad person is a bad deal. A bad deal with a good person, well, you can always work it out because they're a good person. Ivan told me that the first time he heard this concept from his friend Stuart Emery, by the way, Stuart and Ivan wrote the book Who's in Your Room together. Stuart suggested that Ivan let go of somebody who he'd been working with on a project for a long time. The guy had great skills, but he brought so much drama to the project that Ivan just had to cut him loose. And Ivan said it worked out better than he could have ever possibly imagined without the guy. So here's what I encourage you to do. Determine the values you deem most important. Create a list so that you can recognize and establish a set of objective and explicit values by which you live. And that will then allow you to make a decision about who gets past your doorman and gains entry into your room. And I want you to include the values that you now live by and the values you're striving to live by. Write them down, okay? Maybe you live or are striving to live by being authentic or courageous, or maybe you honor deep connection, or perhaps people who are family oriented, or fun, or forgiving, or generous, or always expressing gratitude, or are honest, or have a sense of humor, or are inclusive, or have integrity, or who love to laugh, or who are loyal, or whatever it is. Maybe they enjoy making a difference in the world. Make the list of what's important to you, and now you have the criteria of who you want in your room as a friend, a business partner, a life partner, and don't compromise thinking you'll change them. How has that worked for you in the past? So that's it for today. And I hope that this has been helpful to you. And I hope I get to stay in your room. Sending love. Bye for now.